So the computer then sends up the data and information to the printer.
Yes.
Right? And then we put materials here.
Yes.
And this material is actually ordinary sand and cement mixed with some certain multi to make it work very fast.
Yes.
Right? That is where the engineering aspect lies in this material here. So computer sends information to the printer, materials are put in place, and then the printer will print exactly what is on the computer.
Okay.
And so what we're going to demonstrate here quickly is just then a small structure we're printing there, but we have got a video there. We can show you where we have actually completed that whole 3D printed house. Yes. But for now, I think we just need to be able to demonstrate to you how to print a building.
Okay.
Right. So, colleagues, with Refilo and them, are we ready?
It's printing now.
Yeah, it's printing.
This is the printing work.
This is how printing works. We had to move our printer yesterday or so. So there might be certain other
No excuses.
Yeah.
Just show me. So what is it printing now?
So what is printing is we're actually demonstrating that we can print up any profile. See, the difference between you printing a building, a house with a brick wall, is that we can profile any shape. Right? So we can easily profile and make up any particular shape. So a wall can be made up with any particular shape. Let me keep it table wraps, the video here.
Sam? Keep. Yeah.
Hi, how are you? I'm good. Earrings.
Where is the minister?
Some of the aspects that it's exactly the same thing. This is the now So this is the typical wall. How it looks like.
They are off us, but you can get your hands. Oh, okay, sure.
And this wall here, you can call it a high wall, 40 meters. So this is the whole completed house
It's concrete. It's done. It's cement and sand.
And then you put in some other mixture to make it
adhesive or something.
Yeah, correct. So it actually goes.
So how much would this cost?
The printer itself, it goes in the order of about 5%.
Yes.
But to build now,
the cost of building the house.
The cost of building the house at the moment it's the same price of building using your brick and mortar. But the issue is now
the speed.
We are able to
and the efficiency.
Yes. But with time, we are actually able to reduce the cost.
Now,
and for your information, this machine is from Netherlands. So, but
what you would have to move it from house to house, from side to side.
Yeah, this one is the corner. So it can actually move. You can actually move it from here to another 20%, as long as the size is small.
So what is the thickness of the outer wall?
The thickness of the outer is 40 millimeters. So this layer here.
And what do you put inside?
We can put in recycled waste materials to improve the energy efficiency and thermal performance of the building. Insulation. These are the insulation correct. But we are also, most of our students, what we are looking at is different types of materials. So we are also looking at hammers. As a mixture, instead of using cement, we are also working with ESCOM. And one of these structures that are here is actually printed with ESCOM ash. So we substitute ash and cement with ash. And then we can actually print it.
So what is the actual IP that has gone into this?
Or it's actually in the development of the material.
Of the material, that's where the IP is.
That's where the IP is. So it's
The
like
material meaning sand
cement
and cement.
and
So
that you put in.
the adhesive type of thing is the only thing that's the IP.
Correct.
He doesn't want to public in case it's used somewhere else.
You're absolutely right.
Hello, Smuja. One, two, one, two, one, two, one, two. Ah, yeah.
How's it going?
Please, I'm good, and you?
Good,
Can
good.
we grab the? I don't know if
No,
you can
they're
leave
not
the
going to be
principal.
able to.
It's not
Not
going
be able
to.
to before the speeches are done, unfortunately.
Oh,
But we're going to do a briefing over lunch. It's going to have full stats over crime stats from construction summit that came down
Okay.
from last year.
Okay, that's fine.
Sorry about that.
I love your news reporting. No, so amazing. Yeah. Thank you. You wanna take with mine or yours? You said. You must give me your best smile, eh? No, I'm not happy with that one. Let's try. I knew it. I want an iPhone. I want an iPhone. I'm almost, yeah. So you must give me the best smile. Now that's the one. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Sure.
No, it's fine. No.
Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure. We also would like to welcome premiers who are here. Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, Premier Ntuli, you are welcome. We wish to welcome all MECs. We are going to acknowledge them. Of course, there is one MEC who always welcomes us. We arrived in Gauteng when we were assigned to these responsibilities, MEC Mamabolo. But we don't mind you welcoming us every day, as you used to do. We also would like to acknowledge, appreciate the presence of the first citizen of this city of Ekurhuleni, Councillor Kosindile Kagaza. Thanks for gracing us, for being a host. And we also know that there is a lot of work that is happening under your leadership to ensure that Ekurhuleni also benefit from infrastructure rollout, both from national and provincial department, but also from your own allocation as the metro. We welcome all of you, the chairperson of the board of the CIDP, Mr. Nzo, and all members of the board. We welcome members of parliament who are with us. The chairperson of the select committee is here. We thank you. We also would like to acknowledge captains of the industry, especially the property and construction sector. We welcome all of you as delegates who are here, but also the government officials, senior managers, from the Director General of Public Works and Infrastructure, Mr. Mtagane, and all officials who are here. Having welcomed you and established this protocol, I did so that those who will follow me will not have a responsibility to start acknowledging all of us one by one. If there is someone who is not yet acknowledged, my apologies. We will acknowledge you during the proceeding part. We are all welcome, and we appreciate your presence, each and every one of you. We appreciate and value your attendance. At this moment, let us stand up and open this summit officially through the national anthem. Thank you. We may be seated, and without wasting time, I'm not sure whether our safety officers are here who will brief us on safety procedures. But if they are not yet here, I will request that we proceed. And as we do so, may I take this opportunity to welcome to the stage His Worship. So you can be a president, Mr. President, but we will remain calling you Your Excellency, the President. You can be a premier or a minister. You will just be called Honorable Premier, Honorable Minister. But there is this dedicated for mayors, and it's called His Excellency the Mayor. I'm saying so because we must know that, during my youth days, mayors, they wear chains. And during my youth days, we criticized this thing of wearing chains. And we were chastised and told that, no, this is symbolic. It is a power that is vested in this authority. So we will call to the stage His Worship, the Mayor of the city of Ekurhuleni, His Worship, the Executive Mayor, Mayor Kagaza, to open and render the welcoming address or remarks, welcoming all of us to this National Construction Summit of 2025, the second edition. Your Worship, the Mayor.
Thank you very much, Program Director, Honorable Sihlezi Kalala, the Deputy Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure. I appreciate the honor to be given this opportunity and be reminded about your leadership in your youth days. Let me say, in our youth days. I want to acknowledge His Excellency, the President of South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa, Mr. Jacob Mamabolo, the MEC of Infrastructure, Development and Corporate COGTA, is my boss, COGTA. So everything that we do must make sure that we are compliant, and I know that you represent the leadership of Gauteng. To the Honorable Minister, Dean McPherson, the Premier of KZN, the Deputy Minister of Water. I know that you had a big summit just yesterday here in Ekurhuleni, and we think some of those resolutions in terms of infrastructural development, they are also relevant here. Let's acknowledge all the distinguished guests. I've seen some of my mayors that are here. All protocol observed. It is my distinct honor to welcome you to this National Construction Summit 2025, hosted here in the city of Ekurhuleni, the industrial heartland of our nation, and a city that continues to define itself as a responsive city working with agility to restore service delivery to the people, a city that is a home to a vibrant population of 4.2 million. And we are proud to be a host of all these events. It gives us an opportunity to showcase and also talk about what is it that we're doing in the city. Of course, with the exception of what we see in the TV in recent days. And I must say that we are all safe. Mr. President, we are all safe in the city of Ekurhuleni. Yesterday, we launched a festive season safety campaign where we were demonstrating, the capabilities of our EMPD and the work that we are able to do to ensure that we keep our communities safe on our roads. But most importantly, those who are traversing this beautiful city, they must always know at all the times that they are safe. So South Africa, Mr. President, has celebrated 3 decades of freedom in the year 2024. And this year, 2025, marks 30 years of democratic local government. And here in Ekurhuleni, it marks 25 years since the establishment of the city of Ekurhuleni. His Excellency, President Ramaphosa, it was for this reason that we have adopted the Erythropolis economic development trajectory. So Erythropolis is nothing else but is an airport economy. The fact that we host the biggest airport, it's a capability that brings about, tourism. There's a capability that brings about the movement of goods and services. And this is supported by the major highways and the major rail infrastructure that crisscross, our city. So therefore, this trajectory is a bold vision which sets to position Ekurhuleni as an African hub for logistics, of aviation, of digital and advanced manufacturing. And cementing this, we have developed a 10-point plan to revive the manufacturing sector, drive reindustrialization, and sustainable job creation. Working together across all spheres of government and the private sector, we have identified 5 key thematic areas that will guide our collaborative agenda moving forward. 1 is Erythropolis and airport city development. 2 is industrial estate development. 3 is critical infrastructure development. 4 is township economic development. And 5 is CBDs and industrial estate revitalization. And this bucket of priority areas demonstrates that we are geared to be a playground for construction as we envisage a scenario of development and transformation. And we are envisaging a cranes of skyline and dust rising across our corridors of growth. Honorable Minister, one of the 6 guiding pillars of our administration, as articulated in our State of the Cities address, is investment on critical infrastructure to support the development of our city, but also that we want to do in partnership with the private sector. And this is a commitment that we have made. And as you move across the R21 corridors, you can actually see some of the investment that is cropping up, driven by the private sector. And we must indicate, Mr. President, that on our part, we have successfully spent 99% of our capital budget, a significant milestone that underscores our dedication to infrastructural development and service delivery. Our high impact and multi-focused infrastructure projects are designed to build Ekurhuleni as a corridor of opportunity, a city that drives growth through logistics, through manufacturing, and smart mobility. So we're doing our part to ensure that as we spend this money, we support not only the development of our people, but also we support the the economic growth, because we believe that we're a significant player in the economy of Gauteng, that our contributions to the GDP of Gauteng and the growth of the country is quite significant. So our roads infrastructure must always be, up to a standard to support, the economy just on one end. I was making an indication earlier of the water summit that we have to ensure that we've built the water infrastructure. We must build the reservoirs to ensure that there's water security. We must ensure that there is we invest in the pipelines infrastructure to ensure that we deal with non-revenue water, or we deal with leakages to actually meet some of the targets in terms of non-revenue water. So across all aspects of the municipality, this topic in terms of construction, becomes, relevant. We must indicate, however, some of the challenges that are confronting us, and amongst those challenges is issues of that we need to think boldly about, that relates to skills, sites that we actually have in municipalities and broadly in the private sector, but also some of the planning capacity that we have in order to ensure that we deal with the future developmental needs, particularly in the transportation, in the logistics and infrastructure development. We've got projects in the pipeline, such as the Tambo Springs Inland Port, the expansion of the logistics and distribution spaces, that are a testament of the forward thinking. And this conversation here today actually support to ensure that support to ensure that we achieve some of these bold, ambitions. Yet we must acknowledge that the massive underdevelopment of our public and rail infrastructure is also one of the challenges that stands before us in order to drive developments of our cities. A quarter of Africa's entire rail network lies within South Africa, and right here in Ekurhuleni, Germiston remains the busiest railway junction on the continent, processing nearly 800 trains a day. And this represents both an opportunity and a challenge, and we must do more to expand rapid public transport infrastructure, especially along the eastern corridor of the airport, and enhance connectivity and unlock economic potential. And this is just a highlight, Mr. President, of why we are welcoming, this debate, this conference today, and we think it will go a long way to actually ensure that it assists us as municipalities, because that is where development matters the most. One of the important areas that we think we must continue to have a conversation about is how do we deal with, some of the, or rather have a memorandum to repurpose the unutilized and abandoned or hijacked state-owned buildings within our city. In the area of Germiston, in Boksburg, in Edenvale, in all our little, dorps, there are state-owned infrastructure that we think we must have a conversation about by either donating some of, these assets so that they are redeveloped, so that we deal with the neglect and then be able to address the urban decay, but support the revenue enhancement project and stimulate investment in some of these key precincts. And I'm not just speaking about, I know I'm using Ekurhuleni, but I'm sure some of the mayors that are here are actually agreeing with some of, these proposals. So, Honorable Minister, over the years, our government has developed systems and policies to empower emerging construction companies and breaking the dominance of major industrial players such as Group 5, the Avenge Group, the Marie and Roberts, and today emerging contractors have successfully advanced to CIDB grades 6 and 7, proving that transformation in the sector, it is indeed achievable. However, as we celebrate this milestone, we must remain vigilant about the quality of the work that has been delivered, and we must ask ourselves, are we meeting the standards and specification expected in the world-class infrastructure? South African contractors have demonstrated excellence across the globe. We must now replicate that success here at home. And I was asking my mayoral committee, directing the question to some of my city administration, asking them, what is our legacy in terms of the built environment? What is it that we've actually done? And this draws me to some of the challenges that we think collectively we must be able to deal with. And we must not shy away from confronting the criminality of the so-called construction mafias. And these individuals often collude with unscrupulous actors who have derailed critical infrastructure programs, robbing communities, particularly the poorest of the poor, of the well-deserved delivery of projects, and those projects delivered on time and within a budget. While we commend the South African Police Services for its intervention, we believe that it is a societal challenge that requires a united and multi-stakeholder approach. Honorable Deputy Minister, our Program Director, we also want to indicate that we do welcome some of the intervention that we actually drive at the national level in relation to community empowerment programs. Projects such as Vukupile empowerment program have gone a long way to produce skills. We can attest that some of the skills that we have or capabilities that we have at grade 8, at grade 9 have been delivering some of our infrastructure here in Ekurhuleni, and they have been a product of these great initiatives. And we want to say we support these initiatives and let it be sustained. And we just want to indicate in closing that we have a part of our strategy, our growth and development strategies envisioned on a compact, sustainable and inclusive city underpinned by urban regeneration, well-located, affordable housing, and a decent and efficient infrastructure, yet we remain confronted by the realities of 131 informal settlements, combined by rapid immigration and the growth of backyard dwellings. And that is why, to address this, the 5th administration under a capable former Mayor Zandile Masina had committed to building 100,000 housing units and providing 59,000 service stands. Political instability after the 2021 elections unfortunately disputed these targets, and this administration is determined to reverse those setbacks, and we are currently actively pursuing implementation of the 11 mega housing projects which will yield 49,000 decent housing. So this is just a commitment that on our part we are doing our best to actually recover in terms of the much reported about a blocked human settlements project. So we want to use this opportunity, Program Director, just to do a quick highlights. And I know, I can deliver a State of the City's address here, but I do not want to spoil, the program of today. The opportunity was given to me to just give a quick highlights to assist the conversation, and I hope I've touched on the most important areas of our work. Thank you very much, Program Director.
No, thanks. Thank you. Let's give the Mayor Kagaza, a big round hand of applause. So this is the Mayor, Babntuli. The Mayor refers to the work done by the previous mayor. Saying the previous mayor started housing here. I'm just remarking now, ukuthi if you happen ukuthi ngelinye ilanga as a premier, you address people about the youth fund, ungabi kude nokushushu ukuthi hayi kwakwakho no premier wayiqala le youth fund waqala nokuthi. Just take a cue from Mayor Kagaza. Thank you, Mayor. We're grateful. Indeed, I can agree with you. This is the only major point of entry in South Africa. Ekurhuleni, OR Tambo Airport. But you are quite correct that this is where South Africa meets, in Gauteng. And that's why we will be having this summit here, and there was a summit here yesterday. Even local government summits take place here. But more importantly, the G20 will be here in South Africa, in Gauteng. And therefore, we appreciate the work you are doing. I have acknowledged a number of people, but I think I ought the acknowledgement to key sectors. Firstly, I would like to acknowledge institutions of higher learning. You know, some years ago, issues of construction were relegated to technical colleges. We want to thank institutions of higher learning, UJ, University of Johannesburg, Wits University, University of Pretoria, University of Cape Town, UCT, the work you are doing in research and contribution to the construction sector, especially on resilience and sustainability, as well as ensuring that we adapt as the country. And that's why, as the department, Mr. President, we now have a policy on green buildings. We want to thank the institutions of higher learning. CPE have taken us even to institutions that are not yet focusing on construction professions, but they are now beginning to explore opening programs that relate to construction. I also want to acknowledge the private sector, those who are in property, and those who are in construction, big construction companies that are here. I know that we have a CEO of Growth Point Properties from Cape Town. We welcome you, CEO Norbert. We thank you for attending. We also have the representative or the leader of the Edison Group, but who's here as one of those who are in the property leading the Oceans, or invested in the Oceans Mall and Radisson Hotel in Umhlanga, Mr. Vivian Reddy. We also appreciate your attendance. We also have those who help us to communicate. We can speak here, speaking to ourselves, but there are those who take the message to the country. Those are journalists. We thank you for your attendance from all media houses that are here. Well, I've been told to inform you that Wi-Fi is accessible without any code. So you don't need a password. It will just show up as Beechwood. Then you get in. When they ask you afterward about payment and data, all of that, just refer them to me. I will see how I sort that. Colleagues, we are now at a time where we'd like to welcome the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure, who will make his address on this second edition of the National Construction Summit, with the first one having been launched in Durban. So, serious programs get launched in particular areas. You know, when Africa wanted to launch the African Union in 2002, they decided to go to Durban in Moses Mabhida. I'm not saying anything, but major programs get launched there. Before I call on the minister, I thank you, Deputy Minister Mahlobo, David Mahlobo, for being here. You are our partner. Together we are running serious infrastructure project in water and sanitation. We thank you for your attendance, Deputy Minister David Mahlobo. Other deputy ministers and ministers will be joining us later. Let me therefore call on the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure, Honorable Dean McPherson, to address us, and later call on the President to ascend to the stage to address us. Minister McPherson is known as one of those who have been in the municipality, the city of Durban, as a councillor, and he became a member of parliament, serving in various portfolio committees. He is now the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure. Let us welcome the Minister, Honorable McPherson.
Thank you very much, Deputy Minister. Indeed, you're right. All good things do come from Durban. And the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal agrees with me. I do take note of the Deputy Minister's acknowledgement of protocol, but I will just acknowledge His Excellency, the President of the Republic, President Cyril Ramaphosa, our premiers that are here today, our ministers, deputy ministers, and MECs, and various other leaders of institutions. Let me say, I am so grateful that we have all gathered here under one shared ambition, and that is to turn South Africa into a construction site. Today it gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to the 2025 National Construction Summit here in Boksburg, a summit that arrives at a moment of real momentum for South Africa's construction sector and our economy. When we gathered in Durban last year, we committed to tackling head-on construction site stoppages as a step to reignite South Africa's construction industry. Since that inaugural summit, we have seen the green shoots of growth starting to emerge within the construction sector. Not only have we now emerged, Mr. President, but they are also taking root. The latest quarterly labor force survey, released just days ago, confirmed what many of us on the ground have already been seeing and feeling, that the sector is waking up and kicking into a higher gear. In the third quarter of this year, 130,000 new jobs were created in the construction industry. That's over half of all new jobs created in South Africa's economy during that period. If that didn't excite you, let me put it another way. More than 50% of all jobs created in Q3 came from one sector, our sector, the construction sector. This is no coincidence. It's the direct result of reforms, partnerships, and determination that government is bringing to this industry. This is the beginning of what we have long said was possible, that if we fix what is broken, remove impediments to growth, and build a pipeline of real projects, construction can drive this economy forward. And we are not here by accident. These gains are the result of the hard and often unseen work that many of you in this room have helped lead to stabilize this industry, restore trust, bring order, and deliver real implementable reforms. It's also the result of an all-of-government approach, which includes all of us as ministers and deputy ministers that have prioritized growth and jobs. This was further demonstrated yesterday through the medium-term budget policy statement as presented by Minister Godongwana. These reforms, including a 3% inflation target and lowering of debt costs, which can now be plowed into growth-enhancing infrastructure, are some of the most important reforms that we've seen since 2000, which will only further support our construction drive. We're finally starting to see the dividends of our collective effort with rising employment and a growing economy. Whilst we must celebrate these important wins, we must also double down on our efforts to turbocharge the construction industry towards even more rapid delivery. Today's summit, Mr. President, is a space where the public and private sector come together to identify the next wave of obstacles and remove them with the urgency through partnership. And to succeed in that mission, we must adopt a new mindset, one that is focused on acceleration at all cost. The theme of the summit is unlocking infrastructure delivery and raising construction industry performance. That means the continuation with what we've started and to unlock the industry's growth for the future. It means embedding the reforms we've already made and expanding their reach. And it means aligning every part of our system, from regulation to finance, procurement to policing, to support the delivery of infrastructure and the growth of the firms that deliver it. Ladies and gentlemen, at last year's National Construction Summit in Durban, we signed the Durban Declaration together with the South African Police Service and the National Treasury. It was our response to one of the biggest issues facing the industry, the so-called construction mafia. The declaration was government's line in the sand, a commitment to restore law and order to construction sites and end the reign of terror that was choking investment, delaying delivery, and putting lives at risk. Since that moment, we've made significant strides, Mr. President. We've seen over 770 cases of construction-related extortion and intimidation reported across the country. Of those, 241 arrests have been made, and most importantly, 176 individuals have been convicted. That's not just progress on paper, ladies and gentlemen. It's the reflection of our determination to dismantle organized criminal networks from extorting the industry any longer. But let me go further. In KwaZulu-Natal, which was considered the hotspot for construction mafia-related activity, we've seen a massive drop in monthly site disruptions, from over 60 incidents a month last year to less than 10 a month today. And this is due to the coordinated action that we've taken with the police, business, and our public entities. We've established dedicated hotlines for communities to report stoppages and as they happen, and we've worked closely with our construction companies in a bid to restore rule of law. The police and the private sector security agencies are now working together to dismantle criminal networks. Yet, as we all know, law enforcement is only one part of the equation, and crime flourishes where systems fail. And so, since the Durban Summit, we've also worked to address the structural issues that leave projects vulnerable, from unclear regulations to weak community engagement and poor project preparation. That's why we're finalizing the integrated social facilitation framework, which will be a game changer for how we engage and partner with local communities before a shovel even hits the ground. Mr. President, this means that local communities will not only become meaningful participants in our projects, but our first line of defense against those that seek to disrupt our projects. This is also why we've revitalized the CIDB's National Constructor Development Framework to help emerging contractors into the formal system with better support and compliance, including supporting the BUILD program through a record-breaking 300 million rand budget allocation. This progress matters, ladies and gentlemen, because as we know, the progress that we make is not enough if we want to see a revitalized and vibrant construction industry. We know that more needs to be done to ensure that the private sector has the confidence in the public sector's construction pipeline to partner with us and invest in South Africa's infrastructure future. And we must ensure that government building projects are completed on time and on budget, full stop. I also recognize that contractors have borne the brunt of our failure not to be paid on time and being stuck in endless approval loops. That's why, Mr. President, last month, our MECs, the DM, and myself said, no more delays, no more excuses. At a special meeting of our MINMEC with all 9 provinces held here at Birchwood in October, we adopted the South African Construction Action Plan, or SACAP, to fix public sector infrastructure delivery. The plan is now our shared roadmap, rooted in 6 core interventions, including accountability, ring-fencing of budgets, digitized integrated project and asset information tracking, procurement reform through the implementation of procurement war rooms, strengthening audit outcomes, and professionalizing the built environment. The work to implement the SACAP has already started, Mr. President, and we're looking forward to seeing the first interventions implemented as early as March next year. Procurement war rooms will soon be up and running in all 9 provinces. A national blacklisting database is under development, and soon the first phase of our ERP infrastructure tracking system will be piloted. This is not a wish list, ladies and gentlemen. It's our plan, and we're already starting to deliver on it. Our hope is that SACAP will directly address the negative perception of public construction projects and allow us to turn a new leaf towards delivery. With SACAP, we hope to restore public confidence in the public sector to deliver, in order to work closer with the private sector to turn South Africa into a construction site. Because if we're truly serious about turbocharging construction in South Africa, we must clear the pathway for the private sector, not just as a participant, but as a full partner in delivery. That's why, Mr. President, one of my hopes of the summit and one of my asks of all of us here today is that by the time we close this week, we will have enhanced our program of action with new ideas and deliverables. I want us to go beyond diagnostics and into implementation. I want us to adopt a mindset of scale and speed, because the reality is this: government can't do it alone, and nor should it. Mr. President, as you know, Infrastructure South Africa is our government institution that is a center of excellence, which we continue to advocate to become a single point of entry for large, high-value infrastructure initiatives. Through structured coordination, ISA ensures that projects are registered, appraised, and approved through robust governance, that there is credible and bankable infrastructure pipelines for the private sector to invest in. This pipeline, prepared and packaged by ISA, is a direct response to closing the infrastructure investment gap. By ensuring that projects are adequately prepared and packaged, ISA exponentially improves the chances of projects going into construction and being successfully completed. Mr. President, these are the practical interventions that are already changing how we plan, package, and implement infrastructure projects in this country. From digitized project dashboards to new standards for readiness assessments, ISA is working to ensure that when we say we are ready to build, we actually are. Through your presidential Adopt a Municipality program, Mr. President, ISA is also partnering directly with local governments to strengthen project preparation capacity and deliver on the ground, so that fewer projects stall midstream and more are completed on time and on budget in communities across our country. Ladies and gentlemen, this is already a firm foundation on which to build on, but we know that further work needs to be done to remove red tape facing construction projects. It simply should not take 18 to 24 months to approve development plans. That pace is incompatible with the urgency of our economic and infrastructure needs. This is why, Mr. President, we must examine targeted exemptions within the national building regulations to fast-track large, catalytic projects at municipal level especially where delays are unjustifiable or purely administrative. It's also why we believe that all legislation and regulation governing the built environment should sit under one authority, and that being the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure. See, the MECs are clapping for that, Mr. President. They're a strong lobby group, that lot. As the custodian of public infrastructure, DPWI is best placed to ensure that building regulations are coherent, enforced consistently, updated when necessary, and where appropriate, flexible enough to enable quicker delivery. I look forward to advancing these discussions so that South Africa can move towards a system where approvals are efficient, predictable, and aligned with the scale of construction our country needs. Ladies and gentlemen, exemptions alone and fast-tracking alone will not get us there. What we need and what we must build through the summit is a new era of collaboration, one defined not by consultation without consequence, but by co-ownership, shared urgency, and joint delivery. That's the spirit that we convene here today. And that is the spirit that already underpins the planning of the summit. Mr. President, when you gave this department, myself and the Deputy Minister, our marching orders at the State of the Nation address in July 2024 to turn South Africa into a construction site, we relish this opportunity to turn your dream into a reality. Over the past year, government, business, labor, and civil society have worked hand in hand to lay that foundation for what we finally see today, a nation under construction which is creating record jobs in the sector. Already, the National Stakeholder Forum, led by the CIDB, has proven what is possible when the sector aligns around a common mission. We've seen multi-stakeholder task teams reduce site disruptions. We've seen law enforcement working hand in glove with project managers to protect workers and ensure uninterrupted delivery. We've seen businesses and community leaders at the same table, not as adversaries, but as co-creators of opportunity. If this is what we can achieve, Mr. President, in just 1 year, imagine what more we can do before 2029. Over these next 2 days, through our commissions, plenaries, and side sessions, we have the opportunity to take that collaboration to the next level. Whether it's fixing procurement, accelerating participation and inclusion, or scaling innovation, we must do it together, because a fragmented industry cannot deliver integrated infrastructure. This is why we've designed this year's summit to reflect the full complexity and possibility of our ecosystem. And of course, the summit itself reflects the kind of scale and ambition we're striving for. With over 2,000 confirmed participants, including industry leaders, government officials, regulators, SOEs, professionals, and young people, this is one of the largest construction summits South Africa has ever hosted. Mr. President, I believe we are at a turning point, and this summit marks that moment. I've never been more hopeful and more optimistic for our country. We can feel it and we can see it. And next week, the rest of the world will also be able to see it, as we make history as the first country in Africa to host the G20. Thank you for believing in us, Mr. President. Thank you for believing in this sector. We will continue to turn South Africa into a construction site, because the best is yet to come. It gives me great pleasure to welcome to the stage the President of the Republic of South Africa and President of the G20, President Cyril Ramaphosa. May we please be upstanding for him. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's be seated, please. Thank you. Program Director, Deputy Minister Sihle Zikalala, and incoming Program Director, MEC Mamabulo, Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure, Dean McPherson, Deputy Minister as well, Sihle Zikalala, who is now masquerading as Program Director. Executive Mayor of Ekurhuleni, Councillor, or should I say your worship. I met slightly better than you just a week ago, His Holiness. So you are a little bit lower than His Holiness, the Pope. Ministers and deputy ministers, and the Premier of KZN, Ntuli. I haven't seen other premiers here, and MECs and indeed mayors from various of our cities and towns, industry leaders, representatives of the Construction Industry Development Board. I'm sitting next to the chairperson here. Representatives of business, academia, labor and civil society, and distinguished guests and ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed my pleasure and a great honor indeed to address this second iteration of the National Construction Summit. I did attend the very first one, and I'm really pleased to be here again. We gather at a time when we are really seeing an uptick in the infrastructure build of our country, but we also gather here to talk about an industry that has been geared to build a nation. We also gather here to share a dream and a determination to build a country that works for all its people. A country where everyone should have water, sanitation, and electricity. And thank you very much, Deputy Minister Mahlobo, for also being a partner of this whole process. We are also here so that we can talk about the roads, the rail lines that we intend to build as we turn our country into a true construction site, roads and rail that will take our people to work, that will also deliver our goods to markets. We are here also so that we can build a country where there are enough classrooms for all the children of our country, enough wards in hospitals and clinics for all the patients who go to these facilities, but also enough accommodation for our students, where no child has to swim across a river to get to school. Is what we are here about, to build bridges so that our children can cross rivers to go to school in a safe manner. And we are also here so that you can all get involved in building the schools that will make our children feel safe as they go to their schools and as they have appropriate sanitation in their schools. That is why we are here. We are here to build legacies of the future so that those who will come after us should see that we were here and we did build a South Africa that they can live in. They can walk through the streets of a country that we will have built, that the sites that we are building now, that all of you who are gathered here are building and constructing, will be durable and will be seen generations hereafter. That is why I'm here to applaud you for your dedication, for your commitment, for the work that you are all doing to build South Africa and to make our country into the constructive side that we spoke about during the State of the Nation. From a social development perspective, infrastructure that you are all about provides people with what they need to live and to thrive. It improves the quality of life and plays a key role in reducing inequality. Through reliable infrastructure, we are able to boost the productivity of our people, and we are able also to reduce the cost of living. Through infrastructure, we provide a country that will grow and develop. Infrastructure facilitates trade and commerce. When we boost infrastructure through the construction industry, we also attract investment. Investors want to see beautiful infrastructure, beautiful buildings, durable infrastructure. That is what attracts them. It attracts them like bees that are attracted to a beautiful flower. That is what you are all about, and this is what you are meant to do. The roads that we build, the bridges we construct, the schools and the hospitals we erect are the foundations of opportunity. They are the foundations of hope. Hope is now abroad in our country as the infrastructure built is gearing up to a higher level, as the construction industry is beginning to show its true mettle. Infrastructure is the engine that drives economic growth and social transformation. We know how inadequate infrastructure can hold a country back. And that is what we've been through in the past few years. We are now getting into gear. Our infrastructure and construction build is moving to a higher gear, as the minister said. We have seen how decades of apartheid special planning left vast swaths of our country without any economic and meaningful capacity. We saw how the denial of basic services to the black majority in our country robbed many generations of both opportunity and dignity. More recently, we've seen how the lack of investment in our roads, in our rail, and ports have hampered the growth of industries such as mining, agriculture, and manufacturing, and has also hampered the basic services that need to be delivered to our people. We have seen how lack of municipal maintenance has left communities without water or electricity and has driven businesses to relocate. For as maintenance becomes weak and where there is no real maintenance, investors will leave. Businesses will relocate. But we have also seen how infrastructure can transform our built environment and transform and develop our societies. The massive investment in electricity, water, sanitation, and housing provision that followed the advent of democracy fundamentally changed the lives of millions of South Africans. The construction industry has a multiplier effect that spans manufacturing, mining, transport, and services. For as the construction industry moves into top gear, so does our manufacturing industry also move up. Infrastructure is the backbone of development because, amongst many other reasons, it bolsters economic competitiveness and sustainability. Without infrastructure, without the construction industry, economic growth slows down, inequality deepens, and the quality of life declines. The construction industry supports the Sustainable Development Goals by enabling resilient infrastructure and sustainable urban and rural development. We are beginning to witness the recovery of our construction industry. Infrastructure is poised to once again become the flywheel of our construction industry is now becoming the greatest and the biggest creator of jobs. You should applaud yourself for this fantastic development. Infrastructure investment is one of the most effective levers of stimulating economic growth. This is evident, yes, in the statistics that we've just seen earlier this week. The quarterly labor force survey indicates a decrease in official unemployment rate from 33.2% in the second quarter of this year to 31.9% in the third quarter. And long may this carry on. Construction, as I said and as the minister said, was the biggest contributor. And this gives us hope. This gives us the ability to look forward to greater growth in this industry. The construction industry is indeed the flywheel of the growth that we want to see in our economy. And as it was the biggest contributor with 130 new jobs, it basically means that we can look forward to the construction industry going further up the ladder. These statistics reflect an upswing in the industry. Earlier this year at the Sustainable Infrastructure Development Symposium, we showcased over 250 fully funded projects valued at more than 250 billion rand. Now, these investments in water, in energy, in transport, and the digital infrastructure are transforming communities, creating jobs, and laying the groundwork for a more inclusive and prosperous South Africa. That momentum needs to be sustained. That is why government has committed 1 trillion rand in infrastructure spending over the medium term. This is the very first time our country, since the dawn of democracy, even before democracy, has committed such a large amount of money to infrastructure. Now, this is money that is out there for you to utilize, for you to use as enablers to turbocharge your industry to grow to higher levels. As the Minister of Finance indicated, in the medium-term budget policy statement yesterday, we are shifting the composition of spending from consumption to investment. Capital payments are the fastest growing expenditure item on our national budget. They are expected to increase to about 7.5% over the medium term. And alongside the increase in public infrastructure spending, we are taking measures to enable far greater private investment in infrastructure. And these include the amendments to the regulations to the public-private partnerships and the new guidelines on unsolicited bids. Unsolicited bids meaning that when the people in the private sector have ideas on how we can improve our infrastructure build, they should come forward. They should be enabled to come forward and present their ideas. And if their ideas are innovative enough, and if they are financially sustainable, we will then be able to sign them on and say, go ahead and construct the idea that you've put forward. So this is a game changer that all of you gathered here should capitalize on. Our country has now moved to a level where we are very serious about infrastructure. We're very serious about enabling the construction industry to do what they do best, to construct big and impactful facilities and structures, and to do it with the confidence that we have the money, 1 trillion rand, we have the systems in place, and we have the enabling environment. And we will continue to create that enabling environment so that your industry can thrive. The purpose of this summit is to ensure that the investments that we are talking about and the reforms that we have now embarked upon, particularly in the network industries, do indeed turn the country into a massive building site. We want to see cranes and construction vehicles in cities, in townships, in villages, and in rural areas. Many, many years ago, when I visited China, and as I was being driven through the streets of China, I just saw cranes and cranes and cranes, and I came back and said, this is a country that is going somewhere. And indeed, through that vision of the cranes that one saw, China has been transformed. Many, many parts of China have been transformed. We want to see a similar display of cranes and yellow equipment scattered right throughout our country. And you are the people, the companies, and the entities that can enable that. So the future construction build of our nation is in your hands. When visitors travel by road or rail or air, they must see a country that is at work. They must see that we are a country that is determined to go to a higher destination. We will not let anyone derail these efforts. We will not negotiate with construction mafias. We will not yield to the cable thieves or those who vandalize infrastructure. And we should really say we have declared war on the construction mafias, and they will not stop us. I am very pleased and encouraged about the progress that we are making. That yes, our communities are making, our police service is making, and you yourselves as actors in this built environment are making to deal with those who want to hold us back in the form of construction mafias or cable thieves or vandalizers. In fact, what we should tell them more clearly is that they don't belong anywhere else, they belong behind bars. Because if they continue to do that, they shall be arrested and be sent behind bars. The law enforcement agencies, yes, will continue to deal with those who break the law. As part of its contribution to accelerated infrastructure development, the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure recently announced the South African Construction Action Plan, which the Minister spoke about. It is a framework for collective and individual accountability, a plan that sets measurable targets, real timelines, as well as enforceable consequences. The plan outlines actions to prevent underperforming contractors from securing new contracts from the state. It aims to fix cash flow constraints and use technology to track construction projects in real time. We want to deal with the underperformance of contractors who leave projects incomplete. And I want to say, when you are a contractor, we want you to dedicate yourself to completing the projects so that we can be proud of you as a contractor, and we can be proud that you have completed the work that you were meant to do. Every public works department will establish a procurement war room to identify blockages, speed up evaluations, and ensure that projects move from bid to site without unnecessary delay. The plan includes actions to strengthen audit and governance outcomes and to professionalize the built environment in the public sector. In essence, this plan will ensure that projects are started and completed on time, within budget, and with no wastage, and no cost overruns. In just over a week from now, we will be hosting the very first G20 Leaders Summit on African soil. But it has not only been the Leaders Summit that will be taking place in Johannesburg. It has been the entirety of the G20. We've had almost 130 meetings that have been held throughout the country in all our 9 provinces. And we should be proud as South Africans that we have, over this whole period, been able to host many people who've come from all over the world to our country, to our provinces, to our towns, and to our cities. And we have hosted them without any incident. That is one thing we should be proud of. And we commend the work of the G20 Disaster Reduction Working Group, because the work of the G20 has been divided into various working groups. And this working group has been at work, and through their work, we have placed on the global agenda the need to ensure that infrastructure is built to withstand extreme weather events, and that countries have the resources needed to rebuild in the wake of natural disasters. We're the first country that has addressed this issue of disaster recovery. We all know that many parts of our country are now prone to disaster damage. And what we've put on the global agenda, which is being broadly embraced and accepted, is that we should not only focus on constructing infrastructure, facilities, we should also focus on what happens when there is damage and how we rebuild and how we get resources to rebuild and recover. In doing so, we have placed infrastructure at the center of economic progress and human development on the global map. We look forward to the outcomes of this National Construction Summit, and I'm confident that your summit will place infrastructure development on a new trajectory. You've got a wonderful tailwind, a tailwind that is now blowing your sector, the construction sector, to move forward with greater determination and with greater speed. And that tailwind is the plans that we've put in place, is the money that we are putting behind infrastructure build and construction, and it is the reforms that we have put together that we've been working on for quite a number of years that are now going to be enablers. And we are confident that your summit will turn plans into projects. And we are confident that it will accelerate the progress towards a South Africa that works for all. So you are at a very important juncture as an industry and as a sector. I do firmly believe that your sector is now poised for greater growth, for greater progress, and we have put in place a number of enablers. But we also have a ministry and a department and the leadership that is up to the job. Minister McPherson, Deputy Minister Zikalala, and all the other ministries and departments that work together. We are all determined that infrastructure should be the main area of activity in taking our country forward. And I'm really pleased to be talking to all of you gathered here because you are the real actors. In other words, you are the real deal. If we ever wanted a real deal, you are the people who are going to build our country to go forward. So I encourage you, get into this. Our country is poised. Whether they like it or not, we are now poised for great growth. I repeat, we have the money, we have the leadership, we have the opportunity. Just go and construct South Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's give a big round hand of applause. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you. That is a mouthful, but very instructive. There is money, 10 plans into project, deliver. Let's give the President a big round hand of applause. Colleagues, this marks the end of the first session. And as we close this session, may I firstly thank the Mayor, Your Worship, Councillor Kagaza, the Minister, Minister McPherson, His Excellency, the President. I think they deserve a big, big round hand of applause. Now, in approaching work, I always emphasize that we must embrace two things: determination and professionalism. Determination must propel you to say, I will do this even if it looks impossible. Professionalism must help you to do what you are doing efficiently, effective, and remain trustworthy. And I'm saying so because the program said we'll break for tea at 10:30. And now is 10:30. So, for the current program director, the program director who's on stage, efficiency is not compromised. We started on time with your assistance and the assistance of speakers. We are still on time. Let's give the program director a big round hand of applause. If we are given work to do, let's do work and deliver in quality and on time. I'm now gonna leave the stage. Please don't judge the one who's coming on my performance, please. He will be presiding from that understanding of the dictatorship of the proletariat. So he's going to do well. May I request that before we break for tea, we thank the President formally. We thank you, Your Excellency, for gracing us today, but for an instructive speech, unpacking where must we go. It is not just a strategy, but it's an instructive plan. We thank you, Mr. President. May I then request that we stand up as the President, the Minister, and MECs take leave. We will remain standing to allow them to go out. After that, we will have tea break. But at 11 o'clock, we are starting. When we start, MEC Mama Polo
Okay. Very prevalent in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, but drastically reduced down. What are some of the initiatives that are being put in place in order to keep up these criminals out from disturbing projects?
Well, I think in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, the collaboration between SABC and government of KwaZulu-Natal, including the construction industry, has helped a great deal, including even the communities at large, because that kind of collaboration is the one that has resulted to the reduced attacks that were experienced previously, where in construction was halted for quite a very long time. I think we are almost there. We are determined as a province to have it, in fact, stopped just completely.
Premier, there are a number of projects in your province that are underway. Your province, together with the rest of South Africa, is a construction site. The MEC of Public Works has said that he would want to embark on a project to blacklist those companies that do not finish projects. How prevalent is the issue of companies not finishing projects in your province?
Well, we do have problems, in particular when it comes to local government. That is where we see it being prevalent. But we have identified another problem of municipalities not having the engineers that are equal for the task. And we are trying to strengthen local government and to have a public works and infrastructure department to get closer to local government and work with local government. Hence, we have launched even an infrastructure council in the province, so that we look at a closer range on what is happening in the municipalities when it comes to the projects. And we are quite hopeful that we are going to arrest the kind of a problem wherein we see a project being started and not completed on time.
Ndunankulu ngicela ungishayele ngamafuphi ngesizulu ngawo lo umkhakha wozokwakha kakhulukazi mawubuka ama project avinjwa osomabhizinisi awosomathuba bafunda u30% kulama project.
Well, ngicathi njengesifundazwe saKwaZulu-Natal sesihambe ibanga elinomphumela omuhle ngenxa yokubambisana namaphoyisa nokubambisana nomphakathi kanye nalaba okuyibona abakuyimboni leyo yokwakha ekuthenini silwe nalaba abebekade bephazamisa imisebenzi yenqalasizinda. Kangangokuthi nje sebehle kakhulu isibalo, kodwa sithi noma besekhona ukubambisana nomphakathi kona kusilekelelayo ukuthi nje uma bekwakhona imbiko ekhona bese sazi lokho kwenza ukuthi ke imisebenzi yenqalasizinda yenza ngesifundazwe saKwaZulu-Natal ikwazi ukuqhubeka. Kodwa ke sinayo inkinga la khona laba abasuke benikeza umsebenzi uqobo lwabo okuyibona abahluleka ukuqeda umsebenzi ngesikhathi. Iyona ndaba esiyibona inkulu kakhulukazi ngomasipala. Esisondela kakhulu ukuthi umnyango lo wenqalazinda isifundazwe saKwaZulu-Natal usondele kakhulu ekulekelelo masipala sezisaba sungula ngisho umkhandlu obuka indaba yenqalazinda esifundazweni ikakhulukazi sifuna ukulekelela omasipala ukuthi onjiniya banabo uma bengekho ezingeni labesifundazweni bakwazi ukusebenza nabo ukuze inqalazinda yesifundazwe kube inqalazinda ezokwazi ukuthi yenzeke ibe equality iphinde futhi iphele ngesikhathi.
Umbathathe usengayithola ibhonus.